Hello guys, this is Rito here, and today we're taking another look at some Warcry Warbands. This time we'll be taking a look at the OG Untamed Beasts and at the Spire Tyrants, so the latest of the basically new Warcry Warbands, but yeah, which also is exclusive to Warcry. So let's have a look then. Let's start off with the Untamed Beasts. I think many of you will be familiar with this one just because it's in the start collecting box, so it's unlikely you won't have come across one of these warbands so far. Um, so starting off, we've got the Heart Eater, the only leader option you've got, so there's not really a choice to bring him or not to bring him, but anyways, he does 6 points of damage per action on average, which is nice. He's one of the highest damage dealing models in the warband, and I think he's not bad at all. He does only deal 0.03 damage per point value because obviously being the leader, his points are relatively high. Yeah, but 4 activations to be killed is not bad. Average damage per point value, so sort of survivability per point value. So overall, he's not a bad model, right? He's not probably not the greatest you could get, but he's not a bad model. So yeah, you'll have him as your leader, and that's that. Then we've got the First Fang. The First Fang, obviously your only ranged option in this warband with 8 inches. So as we all know, for ranged options, being in this lower 0.02 category in damage per point value is normal. We see this for a lot of them. I think he is still not a bad model, especially since his triple ability to pull an enemy can come in very handy. I've used it a lot in the past, and it's given me great results. So I think for battlefield control, this character is still good, and that's what I like about the Untamed Beasts. Even the characters that don't look great point-wise get good abilities, so to basically make up for that. So I like the First Fang, quite a nice model. Then we've got the Rock Tusk Prowler. Um, yeah, I think many people will say this is the best model in the warband, and I tend to agree because movement 8 is just very, very strong. Yeah, I think at the point where you have movement 8, you don't really need flight anymore. This is already enough movement for most instances. You've got good damage per point value. He does the same damage the leader does at 6 damage per action, which is very nice. Especially since the Beast Speaker can give him a bonus attack action for a double. So you're potentially going to get 18 points of damage out of him. If you give him Onslaught, that could be 15 plus 6, could be 21 damage. If you attack twice with him and then the Beast Speaker tells him to attack again. So very, very high potential damage output for him. Yeah, so good damage per point value, 4 activations to be killed again. He's got 20 wounds, that's not super fast to be taken down, so I also like this model. I think he's not bad at all, especially with the good movement. Then we've got the Beast Speaker. And the Beast Speaker herself doesn't do great damage. 2.7 per action on average is not amazing, especially for the points she costs. Yeah, I think she's a bit of a tough one. Like, this isn't a true ranged attack, it's only 3 inches. No, it might be 4 actually. I think it's 4. Which does make it a ranged attack in terms of you can attack enemies on platforms and so on. So I guess this isn't bad. It's fine. The damage is fine. You won't ever burst something down real quick with her, that's for sure. 3 activations to be killed, so a bit more squishy, just like the First Fang. But that's fine for her point value. And yes, I said what's really good about her is her double to make the Rock Tusk Prowler attack again. So to get the most out of these two, you definitely need to stick them close together. I would always deploy them in the same battle group. Right, then we've got the Prey Taker with Axe, 4 damage per activation per action, and the Prey Taker with Sword at 4.1. Just generally, it can be said that the Prey Taker with Sword is better, because 4.1 is just, that's already with the Prey Taker Axe's advantage of having higher strength, and because we are fighting a toughness 4 opponent here, so the Axe's higher strength does come into effect. Still, it's lower damage, and the Prey Taker with Sword will basically always do 4.1 damage unless the enemy is toughness 3, in which case he'll do more, obviously. So yeah, just take the Prey Taker Sword, he's just a bit better. But both of them do get very good damage per point value because they are quite cheap and 4 damage really isn't bad. So that's nice. 2 activations to be killed because they only got 10 health. But still, again, that's not too bad because they are cheap. So, sorry, I'm just checking here. I think they are 105 points, yeah. So really for 105 points, you can't complain about this damage output. And 2 actions to be killed really isn't bad either. So, yeah, decent models. I always thought if I would want another Rock-Dust Prowler in there, for example, I would ditch the Prey Takers, but the numbers say the Prey Takers are amongst the better models here. Then we've got the Planesrunners. They only do 2 damage per action, which is to be expected. They only cost 55 points. They do have 5 movement. Sorry, guys. They do have 5 movement, which is pretty high. So they do give you a lot of mobility, and having a couple of these just allows you to get more battlefield control. You can control objectives and so on. And as I said, they are pretty mobile. Really not bad for the points value. The thing is, they only take 1 action to be taken down by many fighters, so you do need to be very careful how and when you engage them in melee. So yeah, just look out there. But still, they can burst out that bit of damage when they have to. Not a bad model overall. Just in terms of points value, it's quite good. So how would I even change this list at all if I was going to bring something else? Well, I did think about it, and I think clearly you need the Heart Eater. I would bring the First Fang probably, just because I think he's really not bad. Because of the triple ability is really what makes me want to bring him. The pulling is quite nice, and it's also a bonus attack, which isn't bad. And we've got the Rock-Dust Prowler, so I would love to bring 2 of these. I think this is quite nice. They are very, very good. You need that movement and so on, and the high damage. It's good to bring 2 of these. Then just bring 1 Beast Speaker. I don't really see any point in bringing 2. You probably won't have enough doubles and so on to boost your Rock-Dust Prowlers all the time, so having 1 is probably enough. Yeah, and then I would bring the 3 Planesrunners just because they are fast and give you that battlefield control. I guess another option would be to get rid of the First Fang and get a Prey Taker Sword instead, just because his damage output is a lot better, and then get 4 Planesrunners. That would be an option I would also kind of enjoy to play with. So yeah, as I said, I like the First Fang's triple, but maybe you don't really need it that much. And this way you could get up to 9 models, have 2 of the Rock-Dust Prowlers in there, and then get the bit of extra damage from the sword guy, who's just punching a bit harder than the First Fang is. Right, moving on to the Spire Tyrants. Right, so let's have a look at the Spire Tyrants. We've got the Pit Champion. You will have to use this one because he's the leader, obviously. he does deal 7.4 damage per action, so that is incredibly high damage at 0.04 point value for his cost. Very good. He also has a 3-inch attack option. It's lower damage, so again, it's not shown here, but if you ever need that 3-inch range, you can also do that. 4 actions to be taken down, 0.02, so like a medium point value here, but good point value for attacking, so I really don't think you can go wrong with taking the Pit Champion. Then you've got the Head Claimer and the Bestigor. They are kind of similar. They've got the same ability, which is a quad, and I don't recommend it. I think it's bad. Anyways, the Head Claimer does more damage than the Bestigor. It's just fact. Sadly, I would love the Bestigor to be good, but he's more points, only gets 3 extra wounds, and other than that, he's worse than the Head Claimer. So yeah, sadly the Head Claimer is just a bit better, just deals a bit higher damage, and as you can see for his points, the Bestigor isn't as good. So yeah, sadly, that's the case. Then we've got the Pit Veteran with shields or with double weapons. The normal box will come with 2 guys with shield and 1 which you can model with either shield or double weapon. These guys do 2 and 4 damage, so they have high damage, but sadly they only get 2 attacks. The double weapon one gets 3 attacks and strength 3. So as you can see, the overall damage output for either of these is very low, especially considering they cost more than 100 points. So these guys are a bit iffy. Yeah, as you can see, the damage per point value for the guy with shield is really bad. The guy with double weapons, it's okay. Still not great in my opinion, 3.1. Many like 75 point models get the same. Well, anyways. Yeah, the Pit Veteran with shield does take 1 more action to be killed than the other one. So at least that's something. So yeah, you're trading 1 point of damage for 1 action to be taken down there. I think this warband, like if you just get it out of the box, it's about dealing the damage with these 3 guys, with your 3 main fighters, maybe the dwarf as well. He's good damage as well. And then outlasting the opponent with the Pit Veterans. I think that's what really the point of this warband is. So in my opinion, you might even want to build the shield 3 times just to get that extra survivability and use these to block enemies up, stand in the way and so on. Never rely on their damage, but yeah, this is the reliable damage in the warband really. Then we've got the Pit Fighter with the net. He deals 2 damage per action, which is obviously not great, but he only costs 55 points. So his damage per point value is good. As you can see, it's the same as the shield guys, and they cost exactly double the points. So obviously nice there. 2 activations to be taken down isn't great, but I mean, it's actually good for his points. And yeah, he's 10 wounds, which isn't bad. Many chaff models like that only get 8 wounds, so 10 is nice. Only toughness 3 though, but still. Yeah, 2 actions to be taken down is nice. Very good damage, and then don't forget he does have a net ability to pin enemies in place for a double. So that is clearly what makes him very valuable. So I would definitely always bring one of him. Then we've got the Pit Fighter with spear and the Pit Fighter with knife. I call it knife, it's probably called punching dagger or something. Anyways. The damage difference is very minimal between these. That's because the knife has 1 extra attack. It's on 4 attacks. The spear is on 3, but the spear does have higher crit damage. So the damage is very equal for these guys. And the spear obviously has the 2-inch range. So therefore, I think that the spear is a little bit better, even though obviously, as I said, the damage being a bit lower means that the Pit Fighter is into the highest damage per point value. but it's nice to be able to keep out of opponent's range. Just makes these guys a bit more survivable, because 2 actions to be taken down is not that much. 10 health again, so having that extra range might come in handy. So I think I like the spear a bit better than I like the punching dagger. Then we've got the dwarf. 4 points of damage on average is nice. That's actually pretty good, especially for his points. So you can see he's in a good damage per point value. Again, only 2 actions to be taken down. He does have 12 wounds instead of 10, but that's not quite enough to make him very survivable. Yeah, the dwarf is a tough one for me. I feel like his 3-inch move really holds him back. All other fighters in this warband have 4-inch move. So the 3-inch is really quite bad. Yeah, you have to decide whether you want him to bring him or not. Obviously, he does deal good damage, but sadly, that's the only thing he really does well. So let's have a look at a list I came up with. Now, keep in mind, this is not going to be well, if you just buy one box, you'll basically have to get this list. But I'm just pretending like I had unlimited models for this list. So let's take a look. I would obviously take the pit champion. Then I would get 3 head claimers because I just personally feel like these are the best point value for the damage. Um, Sadly, I'd have to drop the Basico, although I really like his model, but yeah, just by comparison, he's worse. Drop the pit veterans altogether, they are not great point value. Get 1 pit fighter with net for that ability, you'd always want that, and then 6 pit fighters with spear. This would put you at 11 fighters instead of the 9 you normally have. A bit more squishy with these low point models here, but again, it's more, and most of them have 2-inch range, so you can keep out of opponent's reach. And with the pit champion and 3 head claimers, you do have a lot of punch to your warband as well. 4 strength 5 models with high average damage output is nice. So I think that would be an optimal list for the Spire Tyrants. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.